There is a reason why Candace is able to get to the level that she has gotten to. And to her credit, it's because she's saying what needs to be said. She has, like Tucker Carlson, FU money. And when you have FU money, you can say whatever you want, pretty much. Because then you're also protected. Of course, there's people who want to get rid of her. But there's also people who I keep saying are smart enough to see where the tea leaves are flying when it comes to where this country's going. She gets it. And several of her benefactors get it as well. Candace lays it on the table, clear as day, with this statement. And this says it all.
Infiltrate and convince us that this is the same party while we get gaslit about everything that's happening. Like I said, you lost the party. MAGA got fractured, not when Tucker Carlson interviewed Nick Fuentes, but when Donald Trump looked at us in our faces and said, Epstein who?
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? What are we doing here? I thought this guy's he's been dead for so many years. He totally came to Mar-a-Lago and I kicked him out. He didn't belong there. He was a really terrible person, but we were still talking about him. No, that's long gone. We don't have to talk about him anymore. We're totally done. We are making America great again. No, we're not. I cannot believe that there are people who really think that we are going to just let the Epstein story go. Elle, that is an adorable picture of you and your pooch, I must say. Thank you, Tall Chick in Vegas. Appreciate it. Maybe I'll come to Viva Las Vegas and do it there. The truth will set us free. It's been the message of the evening. The truth will set us free. We will not allow this to be swept under the rug anymore. We can't.
That's when it was game over. Because Israel First is a cancer cell. It is a cancer cell, left or right, to everything and everyone that wants to play around with it. It is a radical psychosis that has manifested itself within both parties. And it is so radical that, in case you missed it, yesterday, they started attacking Brett Cooper. Brett Cooper, 23-year-old, bubbly Brett Cooper. She makes the majority of her videos dedicated to pop culture. Yes, she covers things that are, I would say, mainstream politics, nothing too daring, never speaks about Israel. And she did her part, by the way. Zionists wanted her to do her part and encouraged New Yorkers to get out and vote against Mamdani. But it's not enough, of course, because this is a radical ideology.
This is one thing that Candace understands as well as anybody. And yes, we will take a little credit for this with the message on our channel. When it comes to the Israel Zionist ideology, you can never do enough. No matter how much money Charlie Kirk and his organization was able to make as conjunction of Turning Point USA for the Zionist billionaire class, with the likes of Brett Cooper even, perhaps Candace Owens when she was at the Daily Wire or affiliated with Turning Point USA. You're only as good as the last thing that you said on behalf of the state of Israel. All your past exploitations, all of your past accomplishments, it doesn't matter. Their ideology is hanging by a fucking thread, and they know it. That's why they'll attack anybody. You get in their way, they'll keep coming. And Candace is 1,000% correct about this.
Give them 100%. You even say one critique, and they don't want to break bread with you. They want to destroy you, and that's what they want to do to Brett Cooper.
That's also what they want to do to you, young lady. And that's what they've been doing. But the good news is you have allies in very interesting places. And that's the whole point about this whole experience, this whole experiment, if you will. Can we really put differences aside and find a way to come together on the most critical issues facing us today. If I sat down with Candace Owens and had a conversation about women's reproductive freedom, we're not going to agree. I personally don't even get involved because it's a women's health issue, and I will always maintain that position. But you know what? We're going to agree on a few big issues like Israel and Palestine. And in the grand scheme of what we're facing right now, that's pretty fucking big. And so, to her credit, she has never let up on Turning Point USA. And her desire to have them do you want to say it's a debate, discussion panel, whatever you want to call it. She wanted to get together with these guys to hash out all of the details with Andrew Colvett, with Blake Neff, all of them. And rightfully so. But as we found out, she called their bluff and they folded like a cheap suit. This is an example of what happens when even your own people start asking, hey, what the hell's going on here?
She's saying she can't attend in person. Can she attend on a live stream or, and you guys do live streams all the time. And is that going to be an option?
Of course, Gina.
I'm just trying to make this come together.
Of course, Gina. So first of all, our initial statement, it was on the show on Wednesday. I made it at the request of Erica. All of this has been at the direction and approval of Erica.
You know, the one thing that I always find interesting about Charlie's widow is that you never hear her actually confirm any of these statements. It's almost like she's being held in a closet at gunpoint, and then when she's allowed to come out, she makes a statement confirming or not even acknowledging what was just said. I'm just saying something very suspicious about all this.
Because she heads this. And so what we were announcing there is we said she has said things that are not true, and we did not address them for a long time. We stated the reasons why, that we thought a lot of them were just not, how to put it, we initially just thought no one would believe a lot of what was being said, and we also just, we remembered the same friendship that Charlie had, and we just hoped that this would go away without requiring any sort of direct statement or confrontation from us. So what was approved is we announced we are going to respond to this. And what I said was we are going to announce a date soon. We actually hadn't agreed on it at the time I read the statement. We're going to announce a date where we're going to respond to this. And once we announce it, Candace is free to attend in person.
Speaking of Blake is TPUSA Fuentes, that's actually not that far from the truth, Mike. So why is that true? It turns out that Blake Neff used to be a producer for Tucker Carlson. And when he was a producer for Tucker Carlson, he had one of those dummy accounts that he decided to use as a means to going online, or a burner account, if you will, and decided to basically put as many different bigoted comments at various people, thinking that he would never get caught, but he was exposed by CNN of all places. He promptly was fired by Tucker, and then somehow he ended up becoming an employee of Turning Point USA. Eventually he became Charlie's producer on the podcast. And now he's one of the main talking heads in the studio. Very, very convenient, wouldn't you say? He's got a little bit more to fumble his words on.
That's what we announced. And so once we agreed on a time, I announced what the time was going to be. Candace, for her part, had said, you name the time, you name the place. That is what we did.
So what did you do? You named the time and place on her husband's birthday? Now, she even said, look, I see what you're doing, and I know what you're trying to do, but I will play along. I can't be there in person, but let's do it online. Let's have a digital conversation. And Turning Point USA led by this bald-headed jabroni, Blake Neff, said, oh no, if you don't do it our way, we don't do it at all. So they are coping and crashing out themselves because of course they are.
As for why it was put out at that time, I would just say I don't think she had any difficulty in finding out what our scheduled time was. It seems everyone found it out quite quickly. And lastly, on the point of why it's in person, I think it's pretty intuitive that given what is being said, what the way this has worked is that it's critical to be in person if you want to be authentic and to be detailed.
So a couple of things. He can't look into the camera again, just like Schmutzy's daughter can't do it either, which means they're lying because that's what they do. And Candace, when this was presented to her, decided to say in a very quip, joking kind of way, understandably so, of course, no assassinations. Well, you know what? I contemplated going to the Turning Point USA event in Phoenix if I was able to work it into my schedule. If I had the extra money, neither would work. And so I'm not going, but it's understandable where someone would say, you really don't want to go there. It's probably not a good idea. And I would say to Candace, that unless you're coming with Secret Service detail, you probably don't want to go in person. And if this jackoff is saying that he can't talk to you unless it's in person, I would be a little concerned about that as well.
And that is what we think is a fair request to make if she's going to participate. But regardless, it is going to go forward because we have agreed that some response needs to be made. And so that's going to happen when we announced it on December 15th.
Yeah. So basically what he's saying is they will have that conversation. Just Candace won't be a part of it. They'll probably do one of those, cardboard cutout of Candace's and be like, hey, how come Candace not here? How come she's not talking about it? They're crashing out hard. I have one more clip to play. And this one is going to bring everything full circle. When we say that Israel was involved in this, that they had a hand in whatever went down, there's a good reason for why Candace is saying this and why no one knew or cared about Charlie as much as she did.
I'm being contacted by a lot of people that are telling me that just within 48 hours before Charlie passed away, his top Jewish donors were pulling funding from him, demanding that Charlie take their name off of the building that they had donated to Turning Point. I guess I can figure out who that is, how many people could have donated a building. And then once Charlie was killed, they said, never mind, put it back on the building. Okay. Charlie himself had alluded to a tremendous loss of money coming in. And we'll speak about that more. More people are going to come out with information. This is all inevitable. Okay. And I'll also point you in this direction. You guys remember Bibi recently was on a PR blitz, despite the fact that he was, fighting this 96,000 front war because Israel didn't do nothing. Okay. He was doing a ton of podcasts in America. He went on to Patrick Bet-David's podcast. He went.
Oof. What a murderer's row lineup. And let me tell you, of all the live stream podcast conversations that he went on, I mean, honestly, I can't really tell you which was which because it wasn't a podcast. It was a PR stunt on every single one of them. But these Nelk boys, holy shit. I mean, they were prepped, told what to say, went right along with it. And I often wonder how dude bros get to that point. I really do. It's like they got bashed in the head one too many times, but it's true. Very interesting point about to be made.
Went on to Brennan Tatum's podcast. He went on to the Nelk Boys podcast. Anybody find it weird he didn't do Charlie Kirk's show?
No, I don't find it weird at all because we are past the stage of weird. We are now in the, yes, that makes total sense now. Completely. Notice how this is never talked about, ever, by anybody. When he came on his podcast tour, he went on all of these channels, but he didn't go on Charlie's. No one has a bigger channel there or a bigger influence amongst Christian Zionists than him. Who the hell are these guys? Who the hell is Officer Tatum? Who the hell are the Nelk boys? Who the hell is PBD? When you really get right down to it, who are they? They're just loudmouths. They don't have any real impact on social maneuvering, economic maneuvering, electoral maneuvering. Charlie does in a very profound way. So why then did Satanyahu Milikowski not go on with Charlie Kirk? That's a big fucking question that's never been answered. To suggest that their relationship was hunky-dory. The first person on social media of prominence to make a statement regarding Charlie's death was Milikowski. I'm telling you, it all adds up. All of it. You know what I'm talking about.
Homie very quickly told us that Charlie was implied that Charlie was penning love letters to him in May. I just love you so much. It's amazing. They were so close. The boys just hits him up like, hey, I know we're fighting this 97,000 front war because we're always the victims, but do you want to just come and maybe stay at my place for the weekend here in Israel? Like, that's the vibe that Bibi was rushing to present to the media. So why didn't you do Charlie Kirk's show? I'll leave it as a question for you guys. Common sense. Common sense, okay? I don't like small lies. And remember, Bibi started this. I am responding to his shamelessness, shameless misrepresentation of what Charlie was going through and what Charlie was saying. Because, and I want to be clear, to me right now, it feels, and I'm using a corporate term here, a bit like a hostile takeover, okay? Charlie builds the company organically on the basis of Charlie and Charlie's honest ideas.
Okay, so I finally have to criticize Candace. I have to, because we have to be 100% honest about this. There is nothing organic about Turning Point USA, and a lot of Charlie's ideas are highly questionable, Candace. When the billionaire class, the Zio billionaire class, funds your organization, Charlie was immensely talented. I have never, ever said otherwise. And you could go back into the archives, the rare occasional clip that we did talking about Charlie Kirk 2, 3, 4 years ago. I never questioned his talent, ever. But to suggest that it ever would have gotten to the level that it got to because of his sheer capacity to be a thought leader, no chance. A lot of people are thought leaders. A lot of people speak well. A lot of people are charismatic. A lot of people cultivate audiences. You don't do what he did without a lot of help and a lot of money and a lot of powerful influence. That's how it happened. And in terms of his positions on a number of issues, let's just say that we vehemently disagree. But there's my criticism of Candace on that point. She's got a little more to say.
Suddenly, that company's got a lot of money, and Charlie's honest ideas are starting to change or maybe add more color. And now he's getting financial threats. He's being called names. He increasingly, he's being told who and what he's allowed to speak to, and he's taking a stance. He's taking a stand privately up to these people, and then it doesn't matter anymore because Charlie's dead, and those very same people who were pressing him are now doing, like, very quickly trying to set in stone that, oh, Charlie, essentially the energy is Charlie died for Israel. He's just one of us. Nobody ask any more questions. That is literally untrue, and we're not going to allow it, okay? It's just not true.
What I believe is that she is a fighter for truth. She has an agenda. She also has money. But I do believe that she is on a mission now. She's on a mission to break the Zio state because they broke her by taking her friend.